Today we're going to be smelling the 4 newest fragrances from the house of Zaharoff. Let's talk about it. Hey friends, John here from Proverbs 27:9 Fragrances. And like I said, today we are reviewing the newest fragrances from the house of Zaharoff. So, if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and got the notifications turned on. That way you're notified every time we upload this sweet smelling fragrance related content. Alright, so if you've watched this channel for any length of time at all, you know that I'm a huge fan of this particular fragrance right here. From the house of Zaharoff. This is Signature Pour Homme. This is their flagship fragrance, and it is probably the most elegant barbershop fougere fragrance you will ever smell. It has so many other qualities too that take it outside of the fougere. You could call this a lot of different things, but this is it's a 10 out of 10. I think it's probably, if I had to make a Mount Rushmore of fragrances that I have smelled in my lifetime, it's definitely top 4. Sometimes it's number 1, sometimes it's number 2, could even be number 3, but it's definitely, in my opinion, of everything I've ever smelled, it's definitely on the Mount Rushmore, top 4 for sure. And so today, and I have several of their fragrances, and have had most of them. Signature Citrine's a great springtime and summer fragrance. Signature Rosé is the best smelling rose fragrance that I've ever had. I typically stay away from rose fragrances, but it's phenomenal. Signature Royale is a very good citrus aromatic style, kind of similar to Bois de Portugal and things of that nature. Classy gentleman, citrus aromatic. And so they offer great things, and they're all kind of based on the Signature Pour Homme DNA. But what I have today, and I do have their newest, and that is Signature Leather Tabac. But they also started offering, and I just got my little package here. I got samples of their 4 newest fragrances. They started offering samples of their Zed Creators line, which is their YouTube guys, which is Ross over at TLTG, Curly Scents, Justin at Stay Fresh Productions. So they offered samples of those fragrances, and so I wanted to get those because I never smelled the first go around, so I don't know if these are better. From what I've been reading, most people like the originals, but a lot of times if you get a second go at it, you try to put your, correcting mistakes you think you made prior and all that. So I've been reading that these are better than their first iterations, but what I have here is 4 samples. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the camera. I'm going to put some of this juice into spray atomizers and spray each one of them. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And I've got them in these little spray atomizers. So I'm going to start with Ross's fragrance here. This is Evening Mystique. All right, evening, so I'm thinking it's a night fragrance. I'm going to assume it's going to be warm and ambery. Knowing Ross, I think there's going to be some tobacco in it, maybe some boozy qualities. So that's just my guess. I'm going to spray them all on skin here, find different spots. All right, that was a good little blast. Evening Mystique. Okay, hey, I like it off the just initial blast without getting down into it. There is some smokiness. There's definitely some resins. It's a little more woody. There's some green cypress or some type of it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Bottega Veneta Pour Homme, with the kind of green conifer. You know, it smells like a forest. It's very smoky. There's a subtle booziness to it, but not near what I was thinking it would, kind of be. It smells very good. I like it. So that's kind of what it reminds me of. It reminds me of one of my favorite fragrances, and that is Bottega Veneta Pour Homme. It's better than the Eau de Toilette. Not quite as good probably as the one I have, the Parfum. But it's very similar to that. There's something else. Let me spray another blast because these little cheap atomizers don't put a lot of juice out. I want to make sure I'm getting it really good. Let the alcohol kind of dissipate a little bit. I'm not smelling any citruses. That's what I was kind of trying to spray it again and get those top notes. And Zaharoff didn't have any, I don't think there was any cards in there in the little packet like there normally is. So, don't have any really notes to go by. So it just is kind of like a classic gentleman style fragrance with green woods and trees. There's a slight booziness to it. There's a lot of smoke. I don't know if that's tobacco smoke or incense, but it's very smoky, very woody, very resinous. There's definitely some ambers, some resins, some things of that nature there. And there is some earthiness to it. It's a little kind of dirty, maybe a earthy patchouli, oat moss, something of that nature. Rugged, masculine, but doesn't smell dated at all. So that one in my wheelhouse for sure. Y'all know me. All right, let's go to next one we'll do is Justin's Second Soul. Go ahead. I'm going to spray this on the inside of the wrist here. Okay, I meant to say what I was going to give a first, kind of an idea. And I was thinking Second Soul, I was thinking it was going to be kind of light and ethereal and be kind of, heavier than a skin scent, but, kind of like a ghost, if you would. But I'm not getting that. This is a pretty powerful scent. Wow, that's really interesting. Doesn't smell like anything that I have. It's powdery. It's leathery and woody. This one, I think there is a subtle citrusy note, but it's not a citrus forward opening. Just very powdery, leathery, musky, a little dusty, or maybe it's smoke, but it's not like Ross's. Ross's was very smoky. This is almost a little more dusty. Like to me, there's a flower that smells like leather. I think it's labdanum, and it is very it's like a dusty leather. And that's what it's kind of coming across. It's a little floral. But it is calming down pretty quick. So it kind of is going back to kind of what my, not first impression, but just kind of initial thought was that it is, I don't think this would be a heavy, sitting on you, projecting fragrance. Second Soul, I think it is kind of like trying to sit back on you and just make you smell good without making you choke out the room. It is sort of ethereal with this dusty, leathery, floral makeup of it, you know. There's a little bit of a spicy nature to it, but it's not a sharp spice. I don't think it's pepper. It's kind of a sweet spicy. I have a hard time comparing this to anything because to me it doesn't smell like anything that I've ever owned or wore. It's very niche, and to me it's also it's still very classy though. It doesn't smell juvenile. It doesn't smell like anything designer, unless it maybe is something very, I'll tell you, it kind of reminds me of something that you might have smelled from Chanel or Guerlain, you know, maybe back in the day, but maybe more on the feminine side. And I don't mean that as a negative remark. I'm just saying it's not like an 80s powerhouse type of something you'd have smelled from. It's not like Antaeus or something like that, you know. Kind of smells like something maybe you'd get from Raja. Smells good. I don't think that one is necessarily in what I would typically wear, but smells good. Let's do the other Zed Creator here. This is from Curly Scents of the Immortals. I'm going to do that on my right wrist. Save the back of my hand for leather Tabac. Before I really smell it, I'm going to think of the Immortals. I don't know. Beast mode, you know. Very loud of the Immortals makes me think, you know, it's going to be super human of the Immortals. I don't really know. I've watched several of Curly Scents videos, but I don't really know what she likes. I know she likes, there's Antonio Banderas fragrance that she likes. Okay, very sweet. Chocolatey, caramely. Maybe some rose. Just what I'm getting off the initial blast is it's very sweet. It smells good. It smells like what a lot of the designers are doing, but it doesn't smell. It smells very natural. Very well blended with all Zaharoff fragrances. They're very high quality, very well blended. But to me, this smells a lot like something you'd get in the Paco Rabanne 1 Million line, or, you know, Azzaro, you know, Wanted by Night line. Something like that. Something that's very nutty, chocolatey, caramely, praline-y, you know, sweet. Again, there's some nice florals in the back. Either rose or something of that nature. Definitely some vanilla. It's very smooth. It's very round. It's not sharp at all. It's very, I would call this an oriental fragrance. It smells like sweet vanilla. It smells very good. I think it's very unisex, but if you've smelled like Paco Rabanne 1 Million Elixir or something like that. It's in that vein, in that wheelhouse. Good cold weather, wintertime fragrance. All right, so the last one here is in the signature line, and this is Leather Tabac. Signature Leather Tabac. I think it's going to smell like Zaharoff's signature Pour Homme with a lot of leather and a lot of tobacco. Get a good blast there. I love, again, I've said it a bunch of times, I love signature Pour Homme, one of my favorites. I wasn't a huge fan of signature Tabac. I don't know if I've got a bad bottle or what, but just signature back to me, it had this latex almost smell to it. No offense, George. I love most of your stuff. I just wasn't a huge fan of that one. This one is strong. All right, a lot of tobacco. A lot of woods, very leathery. And this would not be like a soft, supple leather. This is more of a grain, raw, tough, rugged leather. There's almost a medicinal vibe to it. Before I got up on it, just kind of in the air wafting, it was reminding me a little bit of Gucci Guilty Absolute with that medicinal quality, but of course, it's much different than that because it has this loads of leather and tobacco. It's almost like it smells a little bit like, what is that seasoning in chili and in tacos? Cumin. I think there's cumin in it. And cumin can come across like sweat and body odor in some fragrances. It doesn't do that here. Cartier Declaration. There's so much cumin in that. The way it comes across, it smells like I said before, it smells like a sweaty man wearing like a carnation, Not a huge fan of that one. It's not doing that. This does not smell like sweat. This is a rugged fragrance. This is a very masculine, very what the name suggests. It's a classy, signature, masculine leather tobacco bomb. There's other things going on. I'm not going to do the full review on these. I'll come back and review them individually. But I will rank them on favorite to least favorite. And I'm gonna base it on just how they smell, not necessarily how I would, if I would wear them or not, but just on the fragrance alone. Okay, and this isn't scientific. I'm just kind of going by my first impressions. I think probably my least favorite one, and by no means is it a slight because they're all good. And I wouldn't just say that, they're all very good. And I think based on different people's taste and fragrances, but I think the one that smelled the least interesting and took me in the least was probably of the Immortals, just because I've smelled that DNA so much. It smells very good, and I could see this being maybe the best seller out of the whole bunch, okay? So probably most mass appealing and everything would be of the Immortals. But to me, it's probably my least favorite. Then I would say Second Soul would be third. And boy, this is going to be hard. Even the Mystique is very good. I'm going to say Leather Tabac right now, just based on first impressions, would be 2. Even the Mystique would be 1. That might change in the dry downs, but I think the opening of Leather Tabac is so powerful and punchy that maybe even the Mystique is just a little more subdued, and that way a little more likable in the opening. But they're all good, all very well blended, high quality ingredients, and they're all pretty interesting fragrances. So, hey, little last second update here. So it's been about an hour or so, and I keep getting this waft. And these fragrances are transforming and changing. And my rating of them definitely is changing as they're changing. So look forward to the individual reviews on each of these fragrances. We'll see you. Those are my first thoughts on the 4 newest fragrances from the House of Zaharoff. Let me know if you've tried these, which ones you like, if there's any you don't like. And until we see you down the road, let's say God bless. Frag on, frag, fam.